What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took today inside the private Discord, as well as the plan going into tomorrow. So obviously we had a massive gap up today. We had some news that came out over the weekend which ramped the market overnight, and we got a massive gap up like 800 points or something like that, 700 points on NQ. So this is what the charts looked like right off of open. You could see massive green candle off the open, 10s going above the 50 on the 30-minute on the call side, and that means that the market is flipping bullish. You guys know the 30-minute chart and these contracts tell us the trend in the market, and we got the 585s for this week for Friday because we ended up opening around that 580, like around 580 or something like that, and we rounded up to 585 because we added 5. So we got 585 calls for the chart, and if these are crossed, the 10 above the 50, that means we are trending on the call side and we're only focused on longs. So with this massive gap up, obviously, like, I'm not chasing this. So right off of open, this is what we looked like on the 0DT chart. And yes, again, this is like just not something you take. Like off the open, when you see a candle like this, like, come on, we are not taking this little cross here off of open. The 10 and the 50 were all the way down at like 0.30 at the time, like right at open. It doesn't look like it because obviously the SMA is catching up with the price as we end up chopping around up here. But this is just not a trade I would be taking. When we get big moves overnight and we're, massively gapped between where price is and where the 50 and the 10 are, that's just something you want to stay out of, and you just got to wait for price to settle and get a pullback. So with the scenario today, I would have been just looking for a 50 dip, because even on this 10 SMA pullback, I wouldn't play this because there's such a large gap between the 10 and the 50. You would be looking for a 50 SMA dip in this scenario, and that's exactly what we got. We got this nice dip to the 50 right here. I didn't take this because I was busy at the time. So I know Colton mentioned this in the Discord that this is a good 50 dip to buy, and yeah, this ended up bottom ticking right here at the 50, and we got a nice bounce up to the 10 where I'd be scaling most, and you got a little ramp up higher over here, which we did end up closing above the 10, but we ended up getting right back below it. And this was a massive bounce anyway from the 50. So if you bought this 50 dip, you're paid up here, and I mean, there's really no reason to wait for a reclaim, in my opinion. In this case, we know the market's bullish, so at that point, you're already taking profits all the way up here. Why buy on the reclaim when you can just buy the 50 when, we know that the market is trading bullish? And I know I did go over last week that, I probably wouldn't buy the 50 dip because of that daily 50, but we did still have some room to go to it. If we go here on the 30-minute, or not 30-minute, on the Fridays, you can see we got pretty close to that 50 SMA up in here. We still had some room to go, though. We didn't tap it. We still, 393 to 474. I mean, that's still some room to go to that 50 SMA. So I was fine with buying a 50 dip today. I know that I'm pretty sure Trump was on at the time of this 50 dip, so higher risk type of trade if you did take that. But I mean, the candles weren't moving anything crazy. I mean, we got the market started to move a little bit over here. We got these contracts to dip a little bit, but I mean, it's nothing like no crazy price action was going on. So I mean, if you want to take a chance here, buy some at the 50, keep a tight stop, you would have been paid like that. So if you bought somewhere near the 50, you would have been up well over 100 points. I think like it went like 120 points if you got a decent fill, and if you got a worse fill, you still would have got 100 points. So if you bought anywhere near this 50, that's over 100 points right there. And then obviously we come back down in the 50. I mean, I wouldn't buy a second retest of it like this. I mean, you could have gave it a go, but after you catch like 100 points off this bounce and we come back to it again, you could have tried it right there. Honestly, if you did buy this dip, you probably would have got out at break even or actually in profit, because I know NQ was a lot stronger today, and that was beautiful. I love when NQ is stronger and ES is weaker, because when we get these types of trades and we close below 50, you're going to be in profit or just at break even most of the time. Like today when I played the trades in the afternoon, I mean, like, ES was barely moving, and I was well in profit on NQ. So it's great when there's one pair that's stronger. I trade NQ mainly, so I like when NQ is stronger, but it could go the opposite way as well. So the trade of the day right here I was looking for was a cross on the call side. We know the market's bullish, so what do we look for after the chart went negative? Is this chart to go across again, because we know the market's trending. Once calls go and cross again, that is our cue to go long, because we are playing in the direction of the 30-minute trend, which is bullish. So would not be taking this negative cross right here. The 50 never even turned down, but this isn't even a trade idea that I would take. So We wait for this chart to cross. We got this to cross, and look at the move we got. Textbook play right here. 10 going above the 50. 50's trending up. We got the cross. We got an explosion right here at 105. I'll show you guys the entry that I took on this. It was a beautiful entry. I entered. What was it? I forget the exact time. What time was this? 1 o'clock right here. I think I entered. Yeah, I entered. I think during this candle right here. Or this candle. I think it was this candle. This candle ended up pulling back a little bit. I got in. Typically when the 50 slopes up hard like this, and we're not, really at the 10. I was looking for some sort of pullback. Nothing major because I know that this is going to go and push higher. So I was looking for a slight pullback in the premium, and that's what we got. I'll show you guys what we looked like here on the pullback. So yeah, right here. I'm gonna whip this over real quick. So this is what we looked like. The 10 was going above the 50, and there was still room where this could have dropped back down to the 10, the 50, because there's still 5 minutes left. But at this point, I'm starting to scale into my position, and if we do drop a little bit, I'll add, and if not, I could just average up once it goes in my favor, and we got a nice move out of it. So I ended up entering this a little bit after 105, I believe. I'm gonna see when I called this out on the Discord. Yeah, 106, 1 minute after. I ended up hopping in this, and we got a very nice move out of it. I got 50 points on it, took a trim, and then I actually held this for quite a bit. So we ended up pulling back to the 10 and the 50 SMA, and that's where I actually added more. I added on this candle right here, on this dip down to around, I think I added when these contracts were like 0.68, 0.69, so almost bottom tick that. And even though these contracts went lower right here, these contracts dipped lower, but I was still well in profit by like 10, 15 points just because NQ was the stronger pair today. And yeah, that's a good thing when NQ's stronger and we're playing the SPY chart, is that these dips right here, I'm still deep in profit, and then up here we ended up getting up 50 points again, and that's where I sold, and then I got stop break even on the rest on this dip down in here. So it was a good move right here. We got our 50 points trimmed, and then I just held until we got back to my fill. Pretty much we never came back down to my entry point, I don't think. Except for, no, I don't think we didn't hit my entry point back in here, because I added right here, and then this chop, even on this move right here, still didn't come back to my entry because NQ is stronger, and we came up, we got this move higher, and that was like another 50, 60 points from that add, and I trimmed again, majority off of that move, because I'm up over 100 points on the day at that point, taking, most off the table in case we go higher, left some to run, and I stopped break even on the rest. And yeah, that was what we did today. It was a very simple day, very easy day in my opinion. We're just playing with the trend. I know we had that higher time frame resistance on the call side, but we still had a little bit room to run, and I'm just playing with the trend until that changes. I'm just going to stick with this. So tomorrow I would definitely expect some sort of pullback just based on this daily chart. On the 30-minute, you could see, or not the 30-minute, on the daily, this 50 SMA is such a strong area of resistance, and with how hard this is trending down, I would almost guarantee that this is going to end up giving a pullback. And yeah, I think we're going to get a pullback tomorrow. Trade ideas for tomorrow. If we go to the 30-minute, what do we look like? So if we did get a pullback, and okay, well, these contracts are only at 280. If we did get a put cross, we'll probably already be at the 50, so that might be off the table. Usually when there's a big gap between 50 and the 10, and if puts did cross, that is a trade that I would take a chance at and try and take a put cross, only if there's a big gap when we get the 0-day cross on puts and where the 50 is. So if we cross on puts like at like $2 or like $2.20 right here, or even $2, I'd probably give it a go. But I think I'd want a bigger gap than what if we were at $2, I'd want more of a gap in price. So tomorrow, honestly, the trade will probably just to be look for a negative cross on puts if they did cross, because we come down this 50, puts our cross, just wait for the chart to go negative, and that'll confirm that we're going to bounce from this 50. It's trending up hard, so there's a chance we do hold it. But again, this daily 50 is a possible trend ender. So I'm just gonna play what I see. If we get that negative cross on puts tomorrow, if puts do cross, gonna take that. If calls get a cross tomorrow, I'll probably take that. 50 dip on calls will probably also work. So yeah, that's pretty much what we did today. Game plan going into tomorrow. It was a really good day for the system. So if you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, join our Discord down below. That's where the trades are shared, and all the info on the system is in there as well. So that's all I got. I'm out. Peace.